So this topic today of kindness, and we were trying to choose, what could be the title below it, and Master says so many things, but one of the things was what we wrote, a magnetic aura of kindness. And that's just such a nice way to visualize kindness, no? Because it's one of those qualities, like it's completely of the heart, of course. It's something very giving, right? There's nothing of kindness which takes to itself. And the more we give, the more our aura expands. And the more kind we are, the more we are living in that magnetic aura. And in fact, we can go one step further. The more we are meditating and living in the aura of the masters, the more magnetic, because we are living in their aura of kindness, something higher. So it's just a very interesting topic to tune in. And I had a few stories today which I got to hear, because again, with our masters and with Swamiji, there is no end to the number of stories which expresses their kindness. And so that's the best way, I thought, today to just share some examples from their lives. So let's start with Yogananda ji, with Master. He was, again, that was very much a part of his vibration. No? So one way for us as Kriya Yogis, as disciples of Yogananda, is to see how can I express his kindness? How can I express the way he expressed? And in that, we actually learn a lot about it, rather than my own limited kindness. How can I express his kindness? So there are some lovely stories, like you remember the story of the time where he walked into a shop, a very small little shop, and he went and he just bought a bunch of stuff. It is a thrift store, so there are like second-hand things, that the people sell in the US. He just took a basket and put a bunch of stuff. The lady was very kind of just wondering what is he doing at the counter. And then he went and he asked her to bill this. And she looked at that, she billed the amount, and she just burst into tears, because she just says that I very badly needed exactly that amount of money today, maybe for her rent or maybe for her child or something or the other. And he knew it wasn't like a, intellectual thing. It was an intuitive thing of somebody needs help here, let me see how I can help them. And he just walked in. There was this other, a disciple who had basically gone against Master. And it's like he basically spoke against him, and he had basically behaved very badly. And every year Master would send him a box of mangoes. This is in the US. And every year the box of mangoes would come back returned to Master, just untouched. And again he would send it, and again again he would send it. He never gave up on the person. It was just another way of showing. It's like. And one time also Swamiji shares that someone wasn't very sincere, one devotee. And every time he would tell Swamiji, I'm coming tomorrow to learn the technique, and he would never come. But then whenever Master was there, that devotee would come and sit, in Master's presence to take inspiration. And so Swamiji started to say, this guy is not sincere. So he started to become a little cold towards the guy. And he told Master basically, and Master one time told him, that today that guy is coming and today we will have fun. So Swamiji thought, that means he's going to scold this guy finally, because he's not being sincere. Every time he says I'll come and he never comes. And in fact the guy came. Master just started showering him with so much love, so much affection, so much joy. And Swamiji says he was sitting in the room in the side there. And this guy receiving all this love, he happened to look over at Swamiji. And Swamiji was like, he didn't want to give him any attention, because Swamiji says in those days he used to be a little bit like, if you've betrayed my trust, then you're out of my world, kind of thing. And so he kind of wasn't looking at the guy. And he was wondering, what is Master doing? And Master said to him later that, imagine if I had been with all of you. If I just cut you all off, if for one mistake you did, or for one thing that you're not showing, where would you all be today? And in that, Swamiji changed. He was like, oh my God, then if Master can see me in this way and he helped me, I have no right to do that to anyone. And so that's another level of kindness. It's like the guru knew what this guy's trouble was, but he just kept showering him with so much light, so much love. And he would do those kind of things, like somebody came for Kriya, a very great disciple, and he just kept putting like chocolates in his mouth to kind of open him up, to open his heart so he would be receptive, and then he could give him the technique. So that's a little bit of how the masters work with us. No? They try to open our aura, that actually your heart opens so you can receive what they have to give you. So Swamiji, again, this is something, actually this year, I think Naya Swami Devarshi shared this about Swamiji, and somehow it stayed in my mind that he said the legacy of Swami Kriyananda was kindness and a new way of doing things. So that's Swami Kriyananda's legacy. And so a lot of that actually, for all of you who've been coming to Ananda for some time, and even maybe some of you who are just new to this, that's one thing that's very easy to see, is the kindness, the kind of concern for each other, the looking out for each other is very palpable in Ananda. So we're actually very blessed. And the reason for that is it's one of the legacies that Swami Kriyananda left behind. It's kind of how he trained us in how to be a Kriya Yogi, is also in kindness, is also in expressing this kind of concern for each other, in looking out for each other, not just sort of in my own world, I'll do my own meditation and bye-bye. It's, no, how are you doing? Can I help in some way? Should I bring something? And right away people start, the first seva, and especially in Punjab, is prasad. People come with something, can I cook something? And, and that becomes a way of, let me reach out to somebody else and not just, for myself, no? And in that our heart starts to open. So there's so many wonderful stories of Swamiji expressing kindness. So like we were saying, that was one of his legacy. And so I thought I'll share a few that I heard from some different acharyas. So there was this time, let's say, like I'll tell you first about the hospital. So then he took on a lot of karma. That's how we see it, and his body went through a lot of, he had to have a lot of surgeries, a lot of health things towards the end of his life. So one time he was in the hospital, and a lot of devotees had sent flowers, so his room was full of flowers. And then some of his friends came over, like our senior devotees, came over to visit him. And he basically said, look at how many flowers I have here. But how many rooms there must be in this hospital when no one has any flowers? Nobody's been given any flowers. And maybe there are many people who don't have anyone to visit them, who don't have anyone to even talk to them. And so he said, I want all of you to take some flowers and go and visit each room and give it to the people and sit with them and spend time with them and share your love with them and just share some light with them, lift their spirits. He said, I have so much here. Let's share this with all. And so even in that, it's such a beautiful thought. In the hospital, you're there and you're thinking of the other people in the room. So that energy of always thinking of giving, of others, that's a lot of the vibration of kindness. It's like wherever I go, let me be concerned more for the welfare of others than for my own. So then he also had this one time, and I think this was in Gurgaon here in India. Swamiji had just had an operation and he just came back, and the doctor was there. And the doctor said to him something like, I have this problem and I want to ask you for your help. And Swamiji was on his side, he had just had the operation. And the doctor is asking him for help. And it was something about, I think it was related to money, perhaps, or some question or the other. And Swamiji just tuned into that. And from that came a whole course, which is called the Material Success course, which we have. And it's just how to have material success on this plane. How do you put out energy and attract money if you need to? I mean, he was again he's on the side. He's tuning in, this person needs help. How can I help them? And master wants to give a course through this to people to help people, lift them up. And so that ability, to just be all the time thinking. And they also share so many times in a restaurant, he wouldn't be able to walk in his table, and he would just call all his friends of Ananda. Everyone's invited. Come, let's go out for, let's say, for lunch to a nice restaurant. And he would, at the end of the meal, he would get up and go to every table and greet people. He couldn't even walk himself. No, I want to go and I want to meet everybody. They've come to be here also. He could have just sat there. Everyone would have been perfectly happy just to be in his aura, isn't it? But he just went. One time it happened, we were in Gurgaon, and there was this restaurant after one of those public events that we had in Gurgaon. And it was a very sweet thing. So somebody offered their ticket to go, because it wasn't too many people could go. Somebody offered it to my parents. So even they got to come and be there. And a lot of Ananda people went after one of those big events. And again, it was one of the last times we had that. And we had Swamiji in body, because after that he left his body. And at the end of the meal, he actually just walked around and he blessed everyone. He wanted to just go and give everyone a touch of blessing. And in that, I always tell my parents, you got lucky, somebody gave you their seat. You see, you got blessed by Swamiji. But I mean, amazing, isn't it? He was 86 years old and he wanted to go, and he just went and blessed everybody, to touch everyone, lift everyone's spirits up. So that's just these are few lovely stories, no? But there's another thing that couple of devotees shared. So they were having lunch with Swamiji alone at some point, just the two of them. And they were eating in silence, very grateful just to be with Swamiji. And at some point, he just put his cutlery down and he just looked at them very strongly and he said, is there anything I can do for you? Just like that, he asked them. And they were realizing through that, it was a training. This is how we should live every day of our life. Is there anything I can do for you? Is there anything I can help you? Instead of getting consumed in our own world, just to have our consciousness always just, is there anything I can do to help this person in front of me or this situation, in that way. So it's more like trying to just be more in a flow of divine kindness rather than I am being kind to you. It's just you get into a flow of giving energy, and then out of that expresses kindness, which we may not even realize how it lifts somebody up. Sometimes just a smile, just a kind word, somebody may be going through a very difficult thing and they're lifted. And part of this was also tough love, and this is the last part of which I would end and offer to Bharat. But it wasn't only just, okay, everything is just lovey-dovey and we have to try to make everything comfortable for each other. So sometimes, and this is a very important part that we understand also from Master, also from Swamiji, also from our senior devotees in the path, is sometimes you have to give tough love. And it's a kindness in the sense that it's empowering others to become stronger, to walk the path on their own, And parents will have this with their child. At some point, you have to make them strong. So you have to be strong with them. And that's a form of kindness, That's a form of love. If you're not strong with them, then they'll just go all over the place. We have actually, where we live, we have a little toddler, and the guard bhaiya, they live below us, and a little toddler boy, and very, very cute he is. But nowadays, I think he's coming to maybe we call it, I think, terrible twos, but he's not even reached terrible twos. So he's all the time just going berserk, like screaming, downstairs. And it's all great for us because we don't have to deal with it. But we were just thinking, like maybe it's time for them to also give tough love. And others, the kid is just taking them for, a ride over there. So parents need to learn that, but we too need to learn that even with ourselves, isn't it? And the Guru also demonstrates that. So because the Guru, Swamiji, let's say, was very intuitive, he knew if somebody was open, like a disciple, he would sometimes give you, like he would kind of cut, or he would give you a little bit of a cold thing or something, because you had to learn that lesson, and you had to become strong in yourself. There's this devotee who was pouring her heart out, crying about something, and Swamiji just got up, went to a drawer and started looking at the old batteries and sorting them. It's like, she was like, I'm going through a life crisis and he's sorting old batteries. But what was he doing was he wasn't giving energy to her delusion. And in that process, she realized, I need to shake this off. I need to become strong in myself. I need to walk this path with the strength he's giving me, instead of just relying on him, like, it becomes like a crutch, no? Otherwise, other people's strength. So that's another way of kindness, no? Is sometimes you empower somebody else and give them that strength, that Shakti.
All right, very good morning once again to everyone. And this topic is really amazing. And I love in this reading how Swamiji already shares that aspect of kindness which is unifying. Kindness unifies everyone, unifies races, unifies age groups, everything. We are all united in kindness. And I'm from a country in South America called Uruguay, but I lived there. Now most of my life I live outside that country, more than half of my life. In fact, India soon will be the country I live the most in a year or so. But I had my deal of miscommunication, how to learn different languages in order to be able to sustain myself. But there is always something universal, many universal things. I suppose that anger also is universal, or unkindness is universal, but kindness is unifying. Even if you don't understand someone, you can feel their kindness, or their, kindness is an aspect of love, so you could say their love as well. But let's face it, you cannot always be loving. If somebody is mean to you, or somebody is not behaving properly, or has hurt you in some way, which it happens, we can't necessarily be loving towards them, but we can always be kind. And I think that's something we should always keep in mind. We can always be kind. Even if we had to give tough love, as Shamini was saying, even if you had to scold somebody and not allow people to walk over you, you can still be kind. In fact, I think that's something we saw. That's wonderful that Shamini shares so many stories, because, all these great gurus and saints, they came out of extreme kindness. They came toward this world of extreme kindness and compassion, more than kindness, obviously, from divine love, just to help all of us. And it's natural for us to think, well, they are saints, they can do whatever they want, they can express all of these things. But why do they express these things? Why do they even bother having a personality and showing us all the things that Shamini told us? Is because they need to be our role models for us. And if they were able to do those things, it means that we also can do those things to some degree or the other. It should certainly come out of sincerity, not just trying to put it on, but they have come to teach us how to behave. And that's why all these stories are so important. Now, there's something that always amused me. In one of Swamiji has a book, Living Wisely, Living Well, that shows sayings for every day of the year. There is a little quote that you can maybe take for that day. And there is a particular one that says, if somebody insults you, thank them. Something on those lines. And this is something that Swamiji would often say. If somebody insults you, why don't you thank them and say, oh, thank you for showing me something that I, need to work on myself. If the criticism is valid, sometimes it's not valid at all. But I would say, how can you thank somebody for insulting you, But I think what he was trying to say is not to let that touch you, not to let it, not to let it have power over you, and to show a degree of dignity, something that will actually help uplift the situation and will help uplift you. Because imagine somebody is unkind, or somebody insults you, and you just insult back, or become angry, or become frustrated, or whatever. You actually lose twice, isn't it so? I think this is something very common that we all understand, that first we receive someone's unkindness, And then if we are unkind in return, it means that we are channeling, we're choosing to channel something, some bad emotion, some bad feeling to other people. So we lose twice. We get hurt by them and we get hurt by our own selves. And that should never be what we do as yogis. So, okay, maybe we cannot thank them sincerely from our heart. Oh, thank you so much. Please go ahead and keep doing it. But at least we can, in some way or the other, not let that energy keep on growing. There's a funny story, fun and funny, I don't know. One time there was a disciple of Master who was going through certain delusions, and he got very upset at the Master, and he wrote a very angry letter of all the things that Master was doing wrong and this and that and that. And Master read it, and the next time that he saw that particular disciple, and he said, "That was the best note Satan ever wrote to me." But Swamiji was there, and he said that he was not saying it in a mocking way, in a way as to taunt him. He actually said he was actually very sincere, that the man had and then he told him, "You should take up writing." Actually, he told him, "That was the best letter Satan wrote to me, you should take up writing." He was actually saying it sincerely, that he had a capability, he had an ability to write very well, even though he wrote, he was an instrument of Satan perhaps at that time. He was able to see the good. And we should be able to see the good, because what is that unity? That unity means that we see the divine spark in everyone, to whatever degree we can. And to understand also, it's a matter of perspective. Because very few people take the trouble to put themselves in other people's shoes, have some empathy. That, okay, this person is being unkind, this person is being mean, this person is whatever. Why are they doing that? Usually we right away take it personally. Oh, they hate me, they don't like me, I knew they always were jealous of me, We always take it very personal. And instead we should detach ourselves and say, well, maybe it's not personal at all. Maybe somebody is going through something. Shamini told me a very beautiful story yesterday of one of our EFL teachers, Education for Life teachers. That's a system of teaching that Swami and Master developed to help children. And we have schools that in Ananda that teach children, from age, not college yet, but through high school and all. And there was this particular, the founder of that movement, it was Naya Swami Nitai with Swami Kriyananda. And he said that one time he went to in one of his classes, there was a boy who was really restless, really bad, really rowdy, and kind of bothering everyone. And when he was really, he's a yogi, he's trying to serve this new system of education and all that, focusing on the children and on their well-being. And he probably was at the end of his patience also with this particular child, that it can be to many of us that happened. And he took him out of the class, and he had to contain himself not to be too, I said, "But what's wrong with you?" Basically. And he said, "Sir, actually today I left home without having any breakfast." And Nitai's perspective changed completely. And he said that later on, he actually he asked the parents if he could take the boy out for a hike. And he took the trouble to go for a hike with this single child and, go for a hike, climb trees, do some nature games, and try to help the child in some way or the other. And he said that from that moment forth, he was a completely different person, that child. Just because he was able to put himself, to try to understand where is that child coming from, do something to help him in a kind way. And for me, it's commendable also that, and this is what the EFL teachers do in Ananda, they really take care of every child. Imagine if you ever were in your regular government school or whatever, if you misbehave, the teacher is going to try so hard to help you and go out of, maybe in their day off, take you for a hike to help you. That never happens. And I go, wow, that degree of kindness, of selfless love, You don't find that very often. But that's what we should aspire to do. And like Shamini said, we also had to impersonalize this. I'll just tell you one story that happened to me. It was very funny. It was maybe 10 years ago, I can't remember. We were in Kathgodam train station, and there were a few of us, and suddenly I see there is a woman with a child, and she's carrying so many things. Like it happens in the trains, people carry like their whole house sometimes. She's carrying so many things, and she was alone. And I was looking at her and I said, nobody's gonna help her. She's struggling. And I would stay there and wait, and finally I go and help her to carry her stuff to the train. But you know what? It was very strange, because I was feeling very awkward doing that. Because I was feeling that I was doing something that nobody else was doing. So therefore it was kind of awkward. And that's such a strange thing to feel in this occasion, because I'm trying to be helpful, trying to do something good. How come I'm feeling awkward? And I think it's because I was, again, personalizing the thing. I am helping someone else. Not very consciously doing that, but I was kind of thinking of myself, perhaps more than I should. But we should not do that. We should just do it for the well-being of others. Finally, there's this beautiful story that one time, Master, because he also took karma like Swamiji, or I should say Swamiji took karma like Master used to do. He would take karma of his disciples. So his legs were in a lot of pain. He could not walk properly. So some disciples were helping him to get into the car. And when they helped him, Master said, thank you, and you're all so nice to me with all your kindnesses and take such good care of me. And the disciple goes, oh no, Master, it is you who's taking such good care of us. This is nothing. And Master simply said, well, it's God helping God. That is his drama. And that's how we should see it. God helping God. That is his drama. That is this drama of life. And if we are to, even to some degree, able to have that awareness that it is God helping God, God through me, God through other people, it really becomes a beautiful way to live. And then we are able to have that aura of kindness that we are talking about, because we don't see it as anything personal. It's just part of the drama of life, and we just want to play that part as best as we can. All right, Om Guru.